The last picture Margaret had of her son David sat framed on her nightstand. He was 16, smiling, half-toothed, in his high school football uniform, mud-streaked and proud. Behind him, his coach had thrown a hand on his shoulder. That moment caught. Just before everything fell apart, she looked at that photograph every morning. Every night, it was both her comfort and her wound. Because that boy ... that David ... had vanished. David had been missing for 7 years, not in a way police organize search teams. He wasn't reported missing anymore. He vanished in the quiet. Way addicts do off the radar, into alleyways, behind dumpsters, under bridges, into prisons and shelters, and eventually ... into shadows. The first year, Margaret still got calls from jails, shelters, strangers who found her number in his pockets. The second year, the calls stopped. She didn't. Every evening, Margaret set the table for 2. 1 plate, 1 fork, 1 empty chair, and a candle. Always the same white candle beside her Bible. She never missed a night. Neighbors thought she'd lost her mind. "Why keep doing this?" her sister asked. "You're torturing yourself." Margaret smiled. "Hope doesn't torture. It waits." David brought home stray cats. Asked about heaven during storms. Once cried after seeing his friend trip a younger kid. At 17, he started pulling away. At 18, he came home with pinprick pupils. At 19, he stopped coming home. At 20, he stole her wedding ring and disappeared. Margaret forgave him that night, not because she wasn't hurt, because mothers don't stop loving when it stops making sense. She prayed in secret. She prayed aloud. She prayed while washing dishes. She prayed when passing the bus stop where she last saw him. At church, people whispered, "Still no word?" She nodded. "God will bring him home," she said, even if he has to carry him. Tuesday night, after midnight, Margaret asleep in her chair. She dreamed of David, young again, riding his bike, waving. 3 knocks. She waited. Again 3 knocks. She opened the door a crack. He stood there, gaunt, soaked, barefoot, shaking. "David." She gasped, not from recognition, but from the lack of it. Eyes sunken, cheeks hollow, hair matted. "Mom?" he whispered. She couldn't speak. She opened the door. He collapsed into her arms. She held him. She didn't ask where he'd been, didn't ask what he'd done. She drew a bath, laid out towels, found his old shirt. She reheated soup. He ate. She watched. Halfway through, he cried, "Why did you wait for me?" She touched his hand. "Because you're mine." Sunrise. David asleep on the couch. Candle still burning. She whispered, "Thank you." She made coffee, set 2 plates. For the first time in 7 years, both chairs filled. It didn't happen overnight. David relapsed, panicked, carried shame. Margaret stood beside him, prayed, drove, cooked. He worked. At a church thrift store, volunteered, spoke to youth. One Sunday, on stage, "I am a miracle, because someone never gave up on me." Margaret still lights the candle. Not because David is gone, but others are. She prays for sons never birthed, daughters lost, mothers waiting. Healing doesn't shout. It knocks, quietly, desperately. Sometimes it comes barefoot and broken. Sometimes it finds the door open. She folded David's old shirt, a reminder, a memory, a miracle. He watched her do it one morning. Eyes wet with reverence. They planted a garden. David pulled weeds, silent, focused. "It's like my life," he said. "Messy, but growing." Margaret smiled. "And worth tending." He went back to school. GED, night classes. She helped him study, made flashcards. Sat beside him when he wanted to quit. David started journaling, writing his story. "I want others to know how dark it gets," he said, "and how light can still find you." He got baptized. Margaret cried. "This is not the end," he said. "It's my beginning." He spoke at recovery groups, shared hard truths. Broke down, got back up. 1 year clean. 2 years. 5. Margaret still lit the candle, even when he lived across town, even when they didn't talk daily, even when she knew he was okay. Because somewhere, someone else's David still wandered. She kept the second chair. One night, a young woman knocked, pregnant, lost. Margaret let her in. "I heard about you," she said. "He said you'd help." Margaret smiled, set a second plate, and the candle flickered gently, still burning. If this story touched your heart, please share it. Comment the name of someone you're praying for. Follow Faith Light Stories for more stories of hope and redemption.